Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Today is Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network, coming live from the Town Theater here in New York City for the celebration of the 95th birthday of the great actor and activist Harry Belafonte. We'll be talking to many of the celebrities who will be coming through him to celebrate Mr. B. Also, today the State of the Union is taking place. President Joe Biden is preparing to address the nation. You've got a war in Ukraine between Russia and Ukraine. You've got economic issues here in the United States. And so we've got an all-star group of guests, including Melanie Campbell, the Black Women's Roundtable, Cliff Albright with Black Voters Matter, and so many others talking about their thoughts on what should be addressed tonight for the State of the Union. Folks, it is time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered from New York City. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin.
Folks, we are here live at the Town Hall Theater here in New York City, where the celebration will be getting underway in less than 2 hours for the great actor and activist Harry Belafonte. Today is his 95th birthday celebration, and there are a host of actors and activists who are going to be here to celebrate Mr. B. Of course, he is a special individual to many of us, someone who is a continuum from Paul Robeson to Dr. King to Nelson Mandela. So many different folks that he has come across in his 95 years. And so this celebration is about his life, his activism, and also, of course, the role that he has played in entertainment. And so we are so glad to be here to celebrate Mr. B. Of course, Sankofa, the organization that he founded, they are putting this on, his daughter Gina Belafonte, and so many others. And so we're looking forward to talking to folks here as we celebrate the great Harry Belafonte. Also, of course, today, the State of the Union, President Joe Biden will be speaking before Congress, talking about the most critical issues facing in this country. Of course, you've got war in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine. You also, they're having the war here when it comes to voter suppression, when it comes to the economy as well. And so we'll be previewing that speech. Let's get right to it. I want to bring up right now Melanie Campbell. Of course, she's the president and CEO of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation. Also, Cliff Albright, a co-founder of Black Voters Matter. He joins us right now. Dr. Amara Inya, policy and research coordinator for the Movement for Black Lives. And also, Jennifer Blemore, of course, the Director of Policy and Advocacy for CTAC. And so glad to have all of you here. Cliff, I want to start with you. The For the People Act was not passed, obviously, by the United States Senate. Was passed by the House. That still is a critical issue. Today, they're voting in Texas. The primary is there. We're already hearing from people who have issues voting there as well. And so what do you want to hear tonight from President Joe Biden, specifically on the issue of voter suppression?
Yeah, Roland, thanks for asking that question, because you got a lot of people that think that the battle for voting rights is over. And so we need to hear him talk more in this speech than in the last speech he gave in the joint session of Congress. Of course, it wasn't called the State of the Union last year when he gave it. But last year, he only talked about voting rights literally for a matter of seconds. I think it was 2 sentences, and it came just about at the very end of his speech. He set the tone last year in that speech for what would then happen the rest of the year, which was basically the administration, him in particular, not really paying attention to the issue, not giving any more speeches until July, and then after the July speech, not giving another speech until January when he finally came out talking about modifying the filibuster. And so he's going to have to give it more attention than what he gave. It needs to be upfront in the speech. If we think that this democracy is under attack, then you have got to talk quickly and comprehensively about that attack early on in the speech, or else there's no reason for anybody on the other side to take him seriously. Nor is there any reason for black voters who, like you said, who are out voting right now in states like Texas, where we're seeing 1/3 of the ballots that were being returned by mail that were being rejected, right? And so there's no reason for us to then take him seriously when he says that this is a priority. So we have got to hear him set a clear tone on this issue of voting rights, letting people know that it's not over, that we need to fight, making it clear what it is that he wants to see throughout the rest of this year. And more importantly, just being courageous enough to talk about race at a time in this country where we know that there's a whole movement to get people to ignore race, to burn books about race, to take it out of our schools. The extent to which he's willing to have a conversation and talk squarely about race in general, voting rights in particular, when he talks about it in the speech and how much he talks about it, that is going to send a clear message to us as voters as well as to the opposition on the other side.
Melanie Campbell, I broke the news about an hour ago that Vice President Kamala Harris is going to be traveling to Selma on Sunday to walk across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, to give remarks there as well, and to meet with civil rights leaders. And so this still is a fundamental critical issue that this administration has to deal with, has to keep pressing, even though you have Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, both Democrats, who refuse to end the filibuster. This still has to be front and center for this administration and also in the minds of Americans.
Yes, and Roland, ditto to what my brother Cliff talked about. One of the things is also, I'm sure, because of what's happening with the war with Putin attacking democracy overseas, right? Is that when we know he's going to talk about that. You can't talk about that, what's going on, and not talk about what's going on right here in the United States of America. And so I think if he needs to connect those dots. Democracy is under attack globally, and in particular, our democracy is under attack. And voting rights is critical and core to being able to address that and roll back the clock on the voting rights assault that is taking place in this country. We would not have a democracy, really, at the end of the day, if we don't get that done. I think it's really important that Vice President Harris is traveling to Selma for the 57th anniversary. But that's got to be critical. You can't talk about this from a global perspective and not talk about what's happening here. And that you will continue to fight for passage of the voting rights bills that were out here, the Freedom to Vote Act, the John Lewis Voting Rights Restoration Act. Very critical and core if they're serious about saying, because they said they want to fight, then keep fighting.
Amara, on that particular point, Melody talked about this being, of course, a battle, a war when it comes to democracy in this country. That's exactly what we are seeing as we speak. And so when we talk about what's happening across this country with Republicans in Arizona, right now they're trying to actually stop, of course, no excuse absentee balloting, which they've had since 1991. They saw what happened. You've had the Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton say that by them stopping mail-in balloting, that's how they allowed Donald Trump to win in Texas. And so what the Republicans are doing is advancing this big lie. They want to steal the election in November with midterm elections, and they're laying the groundwork for 2024.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think it's obvious that what's happened over the last year or so, and even longer, has been a backlash, in particular because of the uprisings from 2020 and because of the work that's been happening around the country, really at the front lines, is you're seeing this backlash with these attempts to suppress the right to vote, and it's happening in the form of legislation across the country. The Republicans have clearly outlined a strategy that the only way that they can advance their agenda is by suppressing Black voters in particular, although it's couched in general language, but it really is designed to address the fact that Black voters are still absolutely crucial to this country. I also think it's important for us to link what is happening with voter suppression of protest and the criminalization of protesters and the curtailing of the First Amendment rights, particularly for those who were out and have been out making their voices heard about the injustices across this country. And so simultaneous to the proliferation of this voter suppression legislation, we've also seen bills in states across this country attempting to curtail the right to protest. And in fact, the Movement for Black Lives released a study just last year that showed that the federal government was actually cracking down on Black protesters, federalizing charges against Black protesters more so than any other group, which is a clear indication of this effort to target and to chill people, in particular Black people, from speaking up, and also that's in line with these efforts to curtail the right to vote. And we have to fight on both fronts.
Jennifer, obviously the George Floyd Justice Act did not move forward as well. You had Senator Tim Scott, who frankly did nothing when it came to that, offered excuses, blaming Democrats for it failing, when in fact it was really him, his failure to bring over any Republicans and siding with a sheriff's union when it came to that particular bill. A lot of African Americans still not happy about that as well. In addition to that, just today, Republicans in the U.S. House stopped the passage of the Crown Act. It required a two-thirds passage, but in terms of an expedited process, Congresswoman, members of the CBC said they're going to move forward, try to get that going. Again, this is a perfect example. One of the Republicans even called it, the bad hair bill. And so we are seeing a Republican Party that is attacking African Americans, and all Republicans voted against it, including the two Black Republicans, Congressman Byron Donald of Florida and Congressman Burgess Owens of Utah. That's the state of today's Republican Party. And so it's fundamentally clear where the GOP stands when it comes to Black folks in America.
So as the president of the DC Young Democrats, as a part of a chartered unit with the Young Democrats of America, we are banding together to ensure that President Biden fulfills the promises that he made. He was able to get across the finish line because there were young people who were there to vote for him. I think it's very clear that the Republicans have an agenda. So what we can do as Democrats is start to hold the president to the fire. I think there are still a segment of the party that desires to work in a bipartisan fashion, and I think that's fine if that's the decision that they're trying to make. But as far as young people, as far as progressives, as far as individuals who are very clear and open-minded about what's going on, there are just pathways that are not available anymore towards bipartisanship, and we actually have to start pushing Joe Biden to start recognizing some of those truths, because there are bills that should be passed right now that aren't passed. You had Senator Joe Manchin say that, we should hold off on a SCOTUS pick until after midterms, so we know who's in control of the Senate. It's very clear that there are some people who just don't even have the best interests of this country at heart, and so we just require the president to start making the decisions that he needs to make, because we know that Donald Trump did.
So with all of that, and obviously we'll hear what President Biden has to say, Cliff, even with all of that, at the end of the day, what we have to contend with is this, and that is Republicans, we know what is going to happen if they are in control of the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate come January 2023. And so you have a conundrum. You have African Americans who say we haven't seen bills being passed. We haven't seen the George Floyd Justice Act. Haven't seen the For the People Act. You got people who are saying nothing has been done for African Americans. You've got the administration who has said things have been done when it comes to cutting child poverty, how that impacts African Americans, pushing forward the Affordable Care Act, how that impacts African Americans. And so what is going to really be the battle? You're out there on the ground. You're out there in the streets. You're out there in rural America. What is the battle that we're going to see take place over the next 9 months in this country when it comes to getting African Americans to go back to the polls to defeat what we see is a clear and undeniable racist agenda of the Republican Party. You got two of their members who literally spoke at a white nationalist conference over the weekend. They're unapologetic.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Roland. I think it's going to take a couple of things. First, I think we're going to have some discussions around like the nature of this recovery, right? Just the nature of Black life overall, economics, education, and health, and so on and so forth. Last week I was on a press conference with our friends over at the Joint Center on Political and Economic Studies. They just did a great poll of the Black community, trying to see where we stand on different issues and the nature of the economy and President Biden's approval rating. What the poll showed is that I think it was like 61% of Black folks polled felt that that the state of their personal finances, not even the economy overall, but their personal finances were bad, even as they still show that they were giving that the Black voters that were polled were giving 70-something support to Joe Biden. You don't usually see that. And so we've got to have some real discussions around what is at stake in terms of policy, in terms of economic policy, in terms of health policy that's going to impact our community, and including all those other policies you just talked about. In terms of policing, we need to hear from the president tonight what he can do, forget Congress, but what he can do on the issue of policing in terms of executive action. So we got to have discussions around all these issues. From our perspective in regards to voting, we're going to be, we're talking to other partners right now about having something like a voting rights contract, right? Listing out the different voting provisions, the For the People Act, like you said, because as far as I'm concerned, the freedom to vote, which was Joe Manchin's compromise, he came up with the provisions in the freedom to vote, and then he betrayed it. So in my mind, in our minds, we need to go back to the For the People Act, because that's what the ask was for. But the For the People Act, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, D.C. statehood, modifying the filibuster, we need a contract, a pledge from all these current candidates for Congress, in particular the Senate. Otherwise, when we tell Black voters that we need to turn out because we need to get voting rights, and when they ask us, well, how do we know that it's going to be different? How do we know that they're not going to go there and just do what Joe Manchin and Sinema did, right? We've got to have a voting rights contract from these candidates, a pledge, so that we have something on which to hold them accountable. These are the kinds of conversations we're going to have, letting people know what's at stake. Because like you said, we've got the Republican Party is no longer a party. Like you said, they're going to Nazi meetings, right? It is the country's biggest hate group. And we've got to make it clear to folk that is what at stake. But it's not just about the hate. It's about the policies that come from that hate that put our lives at risk.
Mara, what about that? Because when you think about the contract with America, the Republicans did a number of years ago when Newt Gingrich was Speaker of the House, that was highly effective, not only for those incumbents, but also for the folks who are running. And so what is the movement for Black Lives going to be doing? You've got U.S. Senate candidates. Obviously, you've got Democrats trying to protect their seats in Georgia, in Nevada, and New Hampshire and others. But then you have the possibility of picking up seats in Ohio, in Pennsylvania, in North Carolina, in Wisconsin, in Florida. And so what about that idea that Cliff just laid out? Is the movement for Black Lives coming up with, let's say, that contract and asking candidates to actually sign it, to actually commit to the agenda that y'all are putting forward?
Absolutely. So we've had the organizations in our ecosystem have been at the front lines of this work prior to this new administration. And we made clear that it was really important for this administration to demonstrate, not just in rhetoric, but in actual policies that are passed that affect the material conditions of Black people. That is the way that you get Black folks to buy in and vote. What happened in the election was that everyone saw President Trump, and it was sort of the case to be made, anyone but that guy. And so that was the argument. But what it means now is that there have to be tangible policies that are impacting people's day-to-day lives. And we've been sharing this message and organizing around it in our communities throughout this country. But the very real things that people are going through have to be front and center. There was a lot of rhetoric around the economy improving toward the end of last year in Q4. Yet we know that even though unemployment decreased for other ethnic groups. We know that for Black folks, it went from 6.5% to 7%, right? So it's increasing. We know that the child care tax credit is actually slated to be rolled back to amounts prior to ARPA. So we've actually been in communities engaging folks to get what are those top priorities. There are some things that this administration can do that will affect the material conditions of people's lives. We haven't touched on student loan debt and canceling that debt. We know that for Black graduates, they are holding about $53,000 in student loan debt compared to $28,000 for white people and white families who often have the benefit of a tax code that favors them. This amounts to real circumstances that people are grappling with in their day-to-day lives. And we haven't even touched on the cost of gas. People are spending upwards of 11%, which is higher than it was in 2020 on gas costs. So the circumstances in Ukraine and in Russia will undoubtedly have an impact on what Black folks are currently dealing with as they budget from week to week, from month to month. So to get the buy-in, there has to be tangible change in the material conditions in the lives of Black people. We have heard this from all of the organizations in the Movement for Black Lives Network, and we have tried to convey this to the administration, to our elected representatives, so that they can get out in front of these issues and have more to offer than rhetoric come midterms.
So, Jennifer, here's the issue, and that is, obviously, you can pass things in the House. Democrats have done that, but the stumbling block is the Senate. It's 50-50. So at the end of the day, you've got to get beyond that hurdle. And so if Sinema and Manchin don't move forward with it, nothing gets done. And so, and I have people say, well, what do we do? And I say, well, what we have to actually do is recognize what's going on in terms of those critical states where you can pick up anywhere from 3 to 5 U.S. Senate seats. Look who pops over my right shoulder, Danny Glover. I'm going to get to him in 1 second. So Jennifer and Melanie, y'all want y'all to finish y'all point.
Get rid of y'all.
He just pops in. So, Jennifer, go ahead.
So, you're 100% correct, right? And so, one tool is to abolish the filibuster, because we know if we do that, then DC can become a state, and that will really change the dynamics of Congress. We know that's not currently going to happen. So what's the other thing that we can do? Well, we know that there are people who are in the Arizona and the West Virginia legislature who could defeat both Sinema and Joe Manchin. And we have to just start to believe that as a party. We can't just sort of sit down on these people and think that Joe Manchin is going to continue to be the manna from heaven that he's decided that he is. So we really, again, have to start to push the Democratic Party in a direction that starts to, challenge it to take a risk and move away from the old conventions that we need these people to be here in order to get the things that we need. I think there's more opportunities for more individuals who are going to be running in these upcoming races that are going to be more progressive, who are going to be more determined, and are willing to, again, push the party in a direction that gets us closer to what it is that we're looking for.
Melanie, I don't want to rush you. Danny wants to talk,
real quick.
You get the final word, but he's itching to talk. Go ahead.
First of all, hello, Mr. Glover. How you doing? Good to see you. Listen, bottom line, it's been said. I did on everything. We got to be laser focused on 2022. You talked about those things. I'm just speaking nonpartisanly, just factual, right, Cliff? You will see 4, I'm going to see 3, so I'm going to stay out of trouble. But the bottom line is that we got to be laser focused on those Senate races. Like the sister said, we got to shift power. And we're going upstream because we don't have the voting rights passed. And so I think all that's been said has to be done, holding people accountable, but shifting that power so that the person from West Virginia and Arizona won't matter.
All right. Melody Campbell, Cliff Albright, Amara, Inya, Jennifer Blimmer, I certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, as I said, we're here at the Town Hall Theater in New York City, celebrating the 95th birthday of the great actor and activist Harry Belafonte. Joining me right now is someone who is a great actor and activist with his own right, Danny Glover. Always good to see you, my man. Good seeing you. Hold this up right there. So you're looking clean? You're looking clean?
I'm trying to be.
Huh?
I'm trying to stand up and not have my knees buckled.
Well, first and foremost, we were talking about President Joe Biden's State of the Union speech tonight, the preview. Of course, we are entering a political season. You are somewhat of a political animal. What do you want to hear out of the president tonight at his speech?
Well, I think that we, there are the issues that we have to address in the world. You have issues within a framework. I think that we have to tell the truth. I mean, we want a little bit of truth of what's going on here and what has happened here in the arrangements that have happened. And I just don't want to do what I do want to think is that we have to talk about how do we find some way to negotiate ourselves out of this, and it's not only just the United States and the Soviet Union or Russia, it is the world, that everyone's at a very tense moment at this time about what is happening here. Certainly there are promises that have been made. Often what we see is not really what is. And we know that in real politics. And I just want the truth. That's all.
Let's talk about your longtime comrade in arms, Harry Belafonte. He is a tremendous individual, just an amazing life. Why did you want to be here to make sure that you celebrated his 95th birthday?
Because a long time ago, when I was a very young child, he recruited me. He goes to recruiting people. That's what he does. He comes and say, how many people want to walk with him? You know, there's an event, there's an issue. You know, I say I walk. He says I walk with Mandela. I walk with King. I walk with Malcolm. I walk with all of them, and that's what he brings to the table. He brings authenticity. He's always brought authenticity, and that's what Harry Belafonte is about.
One of the other thing is he's always, of course, he's always got loud sounds in New York City. One of the things that he's always been about as well is understanding the power of celebrity, but using it to be a change agent as well. And he said it was Paul Robeson who passed
that it
down.
Is. What did Paul say? That artists are the gatekeepers of truth. That's Kerry. He said that we have a responsibility, not only as citizens, but as artists as well. And that's what Harry has stood by. And that's what this 95 years of commitment from the first time. Imagine him sitting around at 19 years old with W.B. Du Bois, Robeson, them sitting around. And you can imagine them sitting, Langston Hughes, them sitting around, Ossie Davis, Ruby Dee. I mean, at a time of an extraordinary change post-World War II United States, the changes that need to happen and destined to happen, he was right there as an artist, and an activist, and a citizen.
I reached out to you, and you were traveling, and I have to get your thoughts with his longtime friend, whose birthday was 9 days ago, who we lost, and that is Sidney Poitier.
There's a day. We stand tall. We stand on the back of others. There you are, right there. Someone else who gave, who talked, who spoke truth to power through his work, through his majesty. Every time I looked at Sidney Poitier, I wanted to walk like Sidney. You know, I wanted to feel the seal of energy. You know,
and always they call me. They presence and some have presence.
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
But he drew it out. They call me Mr. He drew it out. Danny, it's always good to see you.
It's always great to see you.
Put this little chili, so once you get inside.
I'll
see you inside.
All right, then.
All right, you take care. Folks, that of course is the great Danny Glover out here to celebrate his longtime friend, as he said, someone who recruited him into the movement. That is Harry Belafonte. We're going to have more here from the Town Hall Theater in New York City. More folks going to be coming through. We'll be talking to them as well. We have more guests as well, previewing President Joe Biden's State of the Union speech. So keep it locked right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered, right here on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
When did the damn woo-woo song just become like stupid crazy?
I came home and I'm playing it around the house, and my daughter was 3. Tiffany was 3 years old at the time. So I'll tell you how long ago.
Yeah.
And she kept walking by singing woo-woo. And she said, Dad, I love that woo-woo song. And I'm like, you can barely talk. That's not the woo-woo song. It's called You Should Be Mine. No, it's the woo-woo song. I called the songwriter and I said, my daughter said, this is the woo-woo song. And they said, well, maybe she's right. So they kind of named it the You Should Be Mine, but in parentheses,
right,
called the woo-woo song, right?
Wow.
So the record company went out in the street with microphones in the city and had people sing woo-woo-woo. And people were going crazy over just singing, can you woo-woo-woo? And that song just blew up. And from then, now people are calling me the woo-woo man. I'm like, the woo-woo man, exactly.
Hey everybody, this is your man Fred Hammond, and you're watching Roland Martin, my man, Unfiltered.
Go to the wide shot. Here to New York City. We're here right outside the Town Hall Theater, where in about an hour there's going to be a celebration on behalf of Harry Belafonte. He turned 95 years old today. And, of course, there are a number of people who are going to be here to celebrate him. Rashad Robinson of Color of Change, Whoopi Goldberg, Malik Yoba, Michael Moore, Spike Lee is going to be here. And so Gary Jordan, the Belafonte alumni band, they're going to be here as well. And so many people are scheduled to be here to celebrate Mr. B. He has done so much over his 95 years on this earth. I've had an opportunity to spend lots of time with him, to meet with him, to talk with him, to listen to him, to break bread with him. And I can tell you, he is one of the most impactful individuals I have ever met in my life. Just simply being in his presence is always an amazing thing. And so we had to be here. I recently got back from Liberia. And my crew, we've been, like I say, that jet lag was kicking us, and a lot of things going on. But I said, you know what, we got to go to New York City to be here to celebrate Mr. B. Like I said, I've had a chance to talk with him and sit down with him many times. 2 extended interviews with him to the control room. Let me know if y'all have it queued up. Some of our conversation. We had 2 hour-long interviews that aired on TV1. I also covered the big festival that he was involved in Atlanta. We covered that as well. And so, and the thing about this here, he has the ability. There's no one he cannot pick the phone up and call. So you heard Danny Glover talk about Harry Belafonte, talk about the connection with Paul Robeson and Dr. King, and talk about his work in South Africa, his work with Nelson Mandela. Many people may not realize he was the inspiration behind We Are the World. He was the one who made the phone call to try to do a benefit concert for the folks in Africa. And it was the producer, one of the managers of Lionel Richie and Kenny Rogers, who said, hey, why don't we do something different? And so even when you think about that effort that raised some $64 million to feed folks in Africa, that was the idea of Harry Belafonte. And so there have been so many movements that he's been a part of. When you talk about his friendships with Sidney Poitier, with Dick Gregory, with Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis, and so many people, we really are talking about somebody who has had a storied life, also winner of the Presidential Medal of Freedom as well. And so that's why we are here. Again, we'll be talking to a number of people who are going to be coming through here. The red carpet opened about 20 minutes ago, and so we expect to see folks coming through over the next hour. And so we're going to be chatting with them. And again, we'll have some of my interview with him as well. As I said, folks, tonight President Joe Biden gives his first State of the Union address. Last year he spoke to a joint session of Congress, but this is his first State of the Union, 1 year after being in the Oval Office. There are so many different things that have taken place over the past year that he will be speaking to, but also laying out a focus over the next year. You already have Republicans who are complaining about tonight because there was a requirement for them to take COVID tests. Folks like Senator Marco Rubio refused to take a COVID test and to actually attend the State of the Union, and so some of them are boycotting. Well, so be it. You've had Republicans whining and complaining about COVID tests, mask mandates, but Democrats control the House and the Senate. Speaker Nancy Pelosi has made it perfectly clear that they have those mandates and they must abide by those mandates. And so that's the world that we're still living in. You're still having people who are angry by that. We're here in New York City, and you have New York Mayor Eric Adams who is still deciding whether they're going to end the mask mandates in school. Also, you still have vaccination requirements for folks who work in offices and also to go into restaurants. And so COVID is still with us. It is still a significant part of our world. You've seen a decrease in cases, but the reality is we still have more than 1 million people who have died from COVID. That no doubt is going to be also a part of President Joe Biden's speech tonight. But when we talk about, folks, some of the most important things that have been going on, one of the things that also is critically important, the efforts of Reverend Dr. William Barber, Reverend Liz Theo Harris, and the Poor People's Campaign. Folks, if y'all have that video, let me know. And so when we have the Belafonte video as well as the Poor People's Campaign video, let me know. Because they are on the forefront of advocating for an agenda to speak to the poor in this country. Too often politicians are only focused on the middle class. They want to make it about the poor in this country, the working poor, the folks who are out here fighting. One of the folks who understands that, who's been out here on the front lines, also organizing and mobilizing, not only with young people, but also folks of all ages, is Tiffany Lofton. She, of course, is an activist, formerly ran the Youth and College Division of the NAACP, and she is back from her one-woman road trip in her van. And so if y'all were following her on Instagram, it was hilarious seeing Tiffany out there, who is quite urbane, seeing her out there camping. Did you not think I was going to bring that up? Really? This is the first time I've had you on since your camping adventures.
That was so much fun. Roland, you know that I ride horses, I skydive, and I will drive a camper van from Los Angeles to Portland, Oregon to see our girl, Jamira Burley, who just moved to Oregon. So that's why I was taking the road trip. And I just appreciate my uncle who was able to make sure that I was safe and that he knew exactly where I was in the entire trip, because I did do it by myself, and that was pretty dangerous. But I had a great time.
I'm glad to hear that. Let's talk about tonight. What do you want to hear from President Joe Biden in his first State of the Union speech?
There's a few things I want to hear. One, I do not want him to pontificate about the successes he has had to meet folks in the middle. We have called for canceling all student loan debt. Joe Biden tonight is going to say, I've canceled student loan debt. But he has not canceled student loan debt for everyone. We are asking for him to cancel all student loan debt to get rid of at least $50,000 per person. And he's going to say he's been able to meet people in the middle by canceling some student loan debt and not canceling everyone's student loan debt. Families who have lost and have family members stolen by police officers have met with President Joe Biden multiple times, even on the campaign trail before he got his job. And he told them, he looked them in the face and he said, we want to make sure that your families receive justice. We're going to take care of your folks. We want to make sure that there's no more violence in the communities. And we have seen zero action, zero response, zero executive orders to protect the families, the people who are most vulnerable to police violence in this nation and in this country. And I want to also hear him talk about things like jobs. I'm driving around the city right now. Gas is $7 a gallon in Los Angeles. We want to hear the solutions to COVID. We've just let it wash away. I want him to not lie to the people for the sake of elections and tell us what he thinks he's been successful at, to focus only on, hey, y'all, look at me. I've appointed a Black woman to be the Supreme Court justice. Hey, look, y'all, we're at a war. I'm about to help us. I want him to meet the demands of what people have been calling and demanding him to do since his campaign trail to his presidency.
But the issue that he obviously has to also deal with is that he can make as many promises as he wants to. But he still has to deal with that's Reverend Dr. William Barber calling me. So to the control room, if y'all could call Reverend William Barber, let him know. I think he's calling in to come on. So if y'all could call him, let him know that I'm talking to Tiffany, and then I can talk to him on the air. And so the thing here, Tiffany, is that he can make promises all he wants to, but the reality is bills are passed by Congress. And so that is sort of where we are now. You got the House, sure, bills have been passed in the House, but they're being blocked in the Senate because it's 50-50. And so that is a conundrum. And again, the unwillingness of Sinema and Manchin to get rid of the filibuster, that is what is preventing so many things that we want from actually getting through.
The dichotomy that I'm finding, Roland, with the people that I work with and the communities that I'm helping to organize is that they do not understand. And yes, there are procedural politics to our government. That is without a doubt. Anybody that's smart that can look these things up will not say that Joe Biden is responsible for everything that happens in this nation. And that actually shouldn't be the case. But what we do know is that Donald Trump took a lot of executive orders and a lot of executive actions to meet the promises that he made his voters when he got elected. And what voters are saying now is, we just want you to do what you promised us you were going to do. Yes, the John Lewis bill did not pass. Will give us voting rights. Yes, women's rights and reproductive choice is on a statewide level, but at least give us a basic protection so we can have our own agency and decide what we want to do with our own bodies. Yes, we are waiting for Congress to cancel student loan debt and make it more affordable. But Joe Biden can sign an executive order right now to cancel off student loan debt before his State of the Union address and make us all really happy. Yes, he can pardon people and end the war on drugs.
But what the White House says, and this is where this battle is going on. You have Senator Elizabeth Warren, who says the White House has the authority. You have others who say they don't have the authority, and so that's what's going on.
Yeah, listen. When my mama and my daddy, when I was younger,
okay,
if
so
I
hold
wanted
up, Tiffany.
something,
Hold up, Tiffany.
Go ahead.
Tiffany. Gina Belafonte just jumped in here.
Hi, Tiffany. How you doing? I'm so sorry.
It's good to see you. You're good.
Really important news, I'm sure, but I'm excited for tonight, and I'm so glad Roland's here, and that's how we're rolling this evening. Peace and blessings.
Appreciate it, Gina. Thanks so much.
Me and Gina were in Palestine together. It's so good to see her again. And so my parents, when I was younger, they used to say, well, you got to talk to your daddy. Well, you got to talk to your mama. See what your mama thinks. See what your daddy thinks. And we keep playing this game of politics. I don't understand why any party, why any side of the aisle plays this game of pointing the politics, other than they don't want to take responsibility. They don't want to make the decision because they're scared politically, or they literally don't have the political capital to make decisions that will benefit the community and instead need to provide for special interests. So yes, we have finger pointing going on. And I think it's clear for us to say, especially in a midterm election, where you have people like Attorney Lee Merritt, who's running for Attorney General right now in Texas. Election day is today. Early voting is today to make sure people go out and turn out in Texas. But what we are seeing is that he is going to impact midterm elections this year. And this is all going to impact him when he decides he wants to run again in 2024. We're not confused by who's in charge, who's making a decision. Elizabeth Warren and half of Congress, President Derek Johnson and Chuck Schumer, just wrote an opinion editorial about how Joe Biden can cancel student loan debt. He's just deflecting because he doesn't want to do it. And I'm going to be honest. I think Joe Biden doesn't want to cancel student loan debt because I don't think he believes it. So our job as advocates and as people and voters is to push him to do the right thing.
Well, look, I absolutely agree with that. And so, look, we're going to wait to see what he says tonight, and then we're going to further analyze it tomorrow. Tiffany, always good to see you here on the show.
You look fresh, Uncle. I like this. Represent. You look good. Represent.
Well, you know how we do. You know how we do. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. All right,
Thank
folks,
you,
so we want to quickly turn to my Alfre brother, Reverend Dr. William Barber, of course, who is a co-convener of the Poor People's Campaign. Reverend Barber, glad to have you on the show. Notes are already coming out in terms of what President Biden is going to talk about tonight. We talk about what is the state of our union. What do you want to hear from this president tonight when he stands before the American people?
Well, Roland, thank you. Glad you're back, man. Good to see you. Listen, first of all, I hope that on us, because people talk about we need to push the president, but you got to push him consistently. You can't let off on voting rights, even if you're a civil rights organization, and wait down through the year and say we'll do infrastructure and build back better first. We have to be consistent, and we have to connect these issues. It's not voting right versus living wages, all of it. Secondly, I'm surprised. I heard that he's not going to bring up voting rights. How are you not going to do voting rights? He's not going to do BBB. Well, if Build Back Better was that powerful and that important to saving us from COVID, just because you lose a vote doesn't mean you stop fighting. That's part of the problems that Democrats have. Now, he is going to bring up $15 in the union. That's important if you're going to fight for it all the way, because if you raise the minimum wage to $15, 41% of African Americans would raise out of poverty and low wealth almost immediately, and 31 million Americans. Now, you have to say the civil rights groups and other groups, you got to stand there. You got to agree with the 15. You got to be willing to push and see that as a race issue too, and as a class issue. You can't back away from that fight. So I'm hoping that he would, in the middle of a pandemic, we aren't going to talk about health care. In the middle of a pandemic, we're not going to talk about the entirety of the BBB. We're not going to talk about voting rights, looking at what's happening now. In fact, he's going to Wisconsin. Good. But I really believe that it's important for him to still go to West Virginia, still go to Arizona, to say, listen, after Selma next week, I'm coming right back with my voting rights piece. We're not giving up on this, and we're not saying if we get an African-American woman on Supreme Court, which is what we should do in powerful this past time, then that is sufficient to answer the issues that we face when it comes to voting rights and this democracy.
It's also pressure. You've made it perfectly clear that what we cannot do is just sort of be satisfied, be happy. The reality is, when you look at people on the right, I mean, look, they put pressure. That's what they did, and so let's just be honest. You've got a whole bunch of civil rights organizations and leaders sitting on the sideline, having meeting in the suites, but not being out there in the streets. When the reality is, politicians understand external public pressure.
That's exactly right. And they understand all of it. There's nowhere in our history where you just went in the suite and didn't go in the street. The street opens up the doors and the strength in the suite. There's nowhere where we went in the street and we went in the back suite that we didn't go to the ballot box. It's all together. It's not separate. And to suggest that some talk about, well, that's performance activism, nothing performance about what Fannie Hamer did and Rosa Parks did and Martin King, or what young people are doing today, or what others have been willing to do that put their bodies on the line. The fact of the matter is, if folk hadn't sat back and would have joined, it would have created more of a moral tension in the country to push these issues forward. We have to make sure folk are clear that these issues and addressing them are unavoidable. You're going to have to do it. That's why, as you and I are working toward June 18, 2022, for a mass poor people's low-wage workers assembly and moral march on Washington and to the polls. We are not giving up on these issues. We're not going backwards on these issues, and we're not going to let off on the political pressure, the moral pressure, and the voting pressure. Frederick Douglass said it, and it's still true. Power concedes nothing. It never has, it never will, without a demand. And we have to have a demand in all forms, not just in some forms.
To your point about what will come up, what may not come up, the bottom line is this here: even after this speech, folks like you and others must be ready to put pedal to the metal tomorrow to say, okay, Mr. President, you didn't bring this up, but we're going to make sure that it's still part of your agenda.
Exactly. And that's why, what I said to you, we're mobilizing right now. We got calls tonight with Virginia and Tennessee and groups that are mobilizing. Somebody said, well, why June 18th? Because the legislature, Congress is still in session. Why June 18th? It's because we're saying these issues are not going anywhere. Why June 18th? So we put a face on these issues. We reset the moral narrative. We build power. And then we give folk the whole summer to mobilize and organize for the poll. There are 5 Senate seats that can be dealt with and can't be touched by gerrymandering because they're at-large election. But we need to be pushing an agenda, and we need to be pushing activism. It needs to be all summer and rolling. Poor and low-wealth people now make up 33% of the electorate. And in states where the percentage between who won the presidency and who lost it was 3%, poor and low-wealth people make up 45% of the electorate. That is a power block that must be organized is made up of black people, white people, brown people, Asian and natives people. And if that comes together with Latino people around an agenda, we can actually undermine what the pundits are saying and change the whole political calculus. But we will not do it just meeting in the back room. I've been in, I know about going in suites. I know about meeting with people. But if you don't have a meeting in the street, as the Bible says, the suite is weak and ineffective.
All right, Reverend Dr. William J. Barber, always glad to have you here on the show. As you said, we'll be there on June 18th. Broadcasting that event here on the Black Star Network to make sure that we're mobilizing the folks around the Poor People's Agenda.
God bless you. Take care. And you're looking good, boy.
Thank you, sir. You know how the alphas do. You know how we do. All right, then. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Congressman Ro Khanna from California. We'll also talk to more folks here at the Town Hall Theater here in New York City, celebrating the 95th birthday of actor and activist Harry Belafonte. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
Right here on TV1.
One of the things that we don't have a problem with finding young voices and courageous young people to step in and get afraid.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Lunel.
So what's up? This is your boy Earthquake.
Hi, I'm Chaley Rose, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, we're here at the Town Hall Theater right here in New York City for the 95th birthday celebration of the great Harry Belafonte. Joining me now, you know, she popped in a little bit early. They should have walked the red carpet, is one of his daughters, Gina Belafonte. What's happening?
What's up? Peace, y'all.
So this is, of course, you got a lot of people who are coming out on this cold night. And just how important was it for you, Sankofa, to do this, to celebrate and to see folks want to celebrate your dad?
Well, I'm overwhelmed by the support. It's been an amazing, amazing feeling to not only witness, but to be a part of this evening in celebration of his life and legacy. And also, not only is it his 95th birthday, but it's the 10th anniversary of Sankofa.org. And you were there from the beginning of that, too. And it has grown. I'm excited for people really understanding what it is that we do and championing us to continue to do the work.
Well, folks don't realize is your dad does not know what retirement means. I talked to Susan Taylor a lot, and she said that he's always calling Kefra Burns, her husband, over. He always has notes. He always has things that he's working on. He's got book projects, documentary projects, and so 95 has not slowed him down.
Not at all. You know, I had to run a show with him, and I told him who was coming, and I told him what I was saying. I left a few surprises for him because he will be watching this tonight, and I wanted to just have my daughter come over. This is
Hello.
our granddaughter Maria, and she's here celebrating. She also works with us at sankofa.org. She runs our social media. She helps me get all the T's and the I's dotted and crossed. And she also is a budding and wonderful director in her own right, an actress. And I'm just really excited that we were able to have generations in the hall tonight.
So he would not let y'all do this on your own?
What do you mean? We did it on our own.
Yeah, but you still had to run all that stuff by him.
Well, I'm grateful for that. I mean, what better mentor to have? I mean, he is got so much style. He's got so much grace. He's an amazing storyteller. And he's the best mentor to have, especially for a night like tonight.
Absolutely. Well, look, you know how I feel about him. That's why I got his piece hanging in the studio. Always showing him mad respect. And he, of course,
I don't even have that big ass kind of painting of my father in my house. It is huge.
It's 36 by 48. Well, first of all, when they had the New York Justice League, when they had the fundraiser that I MC at the Apollo Theater, I should have bought it that night. I would have got it cheaper. But I had the commission from the same.
Good cause.
Yes, it was. But from the same artist as well. Last point for you, for the folks who are not going to be here, who are some of the people who are going to be out here celebrating your day?
Oh, my goodness. Dougie Fresh, Mr. Wave, Danny Glover, Alfre Woodard, Brian Stevenson, Aloe Black, Sweet Honey in the Rock, Lenny Kravitz, John Legend, Alicia Keys. I mean, we got to have a few folks showing up.
All right, then. We're looking forward to it. Always glad to see you.
Michael Moore, Amy Goodman.
You got more.
Alfre Woodard. Did I say Alfre Woodard?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Now it's time you get inside because it's a little chilly out here. Yeah, it's a little chilly, but I appreciate it.
The platform. Appreciate you.
Not a problem.
He's the best. He really is such a good guy.
Appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. Folks, again, a lot of people here. I see, I'm looking over here. I just saw Lawrence Fishburne. If y'all could grab Lawrence, that'd be great. And then I'm looking, so if you can grab Lawrence for me, that would be absolutely fantastic. How you doing? We got Sweet Honey in the Rock back here as well. I'm going to be sitting here, and I know I got guests who are over here. We got the great Alfre Woodard here as well. Glad to see her. How you doing?
I saw you from the street. I didn't know it was you. I said, that brother is down.
Y'all need to understand, this is one of my text buddies. She is very much involved in politics. The State of the Union is tonight, so I got to ask you, because you love politics. What do you want to hear tonight from the president?
I want the president to really talk loudly about what he has accomplished. To lay to rest this whole idea that he's done nothing. People are not paying attention. They are listening to the loudest voices that are saying we're all going to hell in a handbasket. Things are underway. He is against all the odds. He is making strides. What I really want to hear is that we will figure out a way to get the things that were in that Build Back Better bill, to get those things to the communities all over the country that need it, to the 85% of the people that said, no matter what party, that said they wanted and needed things that were in there. I want 12 weeks family leave for men and women for when there is a family emergency, whether it's pregnancy or seeing to elders or just somebody not feeling well. I want the things that we said we wanted, and I think it's time to move ahead, and if the ones that aren't coming with him, he needs to stop. Look at me talking to the president. I would advise him, as a fellow human being and a mother of children, when one of the kids is having a tantrum, you just close the door and say, you know what? When you're done, you come on out and join us. But we are building right now, so I want to move forward. If people don't believe in whatever has become known as bipartisanship, that doesn't matter, because their people in all places around this country need those things.
Yep.
And everybody else is doing politics, and the people are wanting progress ticks.
I'm going to talk real soon to Congressman Ro Khanna out of California, but I do want to get your thoughts. Harry Belafonte, 95 years of an amazing life.
He's such a gift. We thought he was a gift because he looked so fine, and he sang so beautifully. He made us feel light and happy. He made us feel romantic. He's made us feel deep when it touches your heart as an entertainer. But he has changed our lives as a man. He's always shown up for the people, for all people. He's shown us that we have a voice, and that not only every voice, every vote, every step, every hand reaching out to touch another hand that have shared concerns, that's power. So he's given people around the world agency. If that's not something to celebrate, nothing is. I'm happy to see you. I'm just grinning.
You know, it's always good to see you as well.
All right.
Always good to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. I love you as well.
Okay.
Folks, Alfre Woodard, glad to have her here on the show. Let's go to Representative Ro Khanna from California. Glad to have you on the show. Of course, she is a constituent from the state, also often been a delegate at the Democratic National Convention, Alfre Woodard. Congressman, again, glad to have you here. Big speech tonight, the first day of the union for President Joe Biden. What do you want him to tell America and the world when he stands there before the cameras?
Roland, he first needs to talk about all of his accomplishments. I mean, the American Rescue Plan that under his leadership we passed has created record number of jobs. Unemployment's at 3.9%. It's put more money in the pockets of working families. We passed a bipartisan infrastructure deal. We're on the heels of passing a major bill, the CHIPS Act, that's going to bring semiconductor manufacturing back into the United States. In fact, Intel in my district is pouring $20 billion into the state of Ohio, revitalizing New Albany. So the president needs to lay that out, and then he needs to talk about what we still need to do. At the top of that list, in my view, are voting rights and climate. He's got to talk about how we get basic voting rights through in this country. It's 2022. We shouldn't be debating this issue. And he needs to talk about how we get something on climate.
One of the things that we are dealing with, and that is you still have a block in the United States Senate. Bottom line is he's tried, others have tried. You can't get past the obstinacy, if you will, of Senators Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. And so one of the things that the president has to do is rally his base because Democrats are trying to maintain the House. They're trying to maintain the Senate as well.
Well, the president needs to, I think someone like Senator Sinema needs to be asked about the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. Would she have, if she had a choice in the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act in 1964, would she have not voted for that and abolished the filibuster to do that? I mean, why would we not abolish the filibuster to be able to get people the right to vote? I think the president needs to make that case. He needs to make the case against the filibuster tonight, and he needs to show the American public and our base that he is fighting for this.
All right, Congressman Ro Khanna, I certainly appreciate it. Last thing here, you got your whiny Republicans upset about having to take COVID tests. I mean, my goodness, are these people so weak they can't show any leadership? It's a COVID test. Hell, I got to take one to get on the plane and go to Liberia.
I know. I mean, I really don't get it. It's basically, here's the thing. It's about not you. It's about your concern for people. There are a lot of people who are immunocompromised. There are a lot of people who still COVID is a big deal if they get it. And those are the people that we are looking out for. And so I think it is totally irresponsible that they are not doing that. And it's really unfortunate. I was overseas with Speaker Pelosi. We got contested every day before meetings. So I appreciate that. I just wanted to say with Harry Belafonte, I mean, one of the things I want to celebrate is his activism against apartheid, his activism against civil rights. And even if you don't agree with every one of his foreign policy stances, he was someone who believed in global justice. So I'm glad you're celebrating him today.
Representative Ro Khanna, I certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, folks, my next guest out here, of course, y'all have heard their voices. They're amazing voices of the movement. They still doing their thing. Sweetie Honey and the Rock, glad to see y'all. How's it going?
Hey, how are How good to see you.
Absolutely.
Good to be here.
Absolutely. So let's talk about out here celebrating Harry Belafonte.
Well, this is exciting. 95 years old. My mother's 98. I think it's just such a blessing and a wonder to have our seniors with us. And, you know, and they broke so much ground for us, you know, and that they still be strong and in their mind. God bless them. I'm happy to be here. We're going to sing for him tonight.
And, of course, y'all were out there when he was out there as well during the Black Freedom Movement, putting it on the line.
Yes. Well, you know, Sweet Honey Head New Rock you have a long legacy of singing for social justice, singing for people's, I would say, experiences in this American way of life. And so we are just really happy to be able to keep it going. We're approaching 50 years next year. We will have our 50th anniversary. We're still on the battlefield.
So what is your favorite Harry Belafonte moment, memory?
Ooh, Lord
what you got?
Mercy. What you got, Barbara?
When we did the event in Georgia, a few years ago, and it was a huge crowd of people. It was very exciting, and it was almost an all-night event.
Right. It was the Sankofa Music Festival.
Yeah, I was there.
You were there.
We brought
Fairburn,
that.
right. And Mr. B sang.
Yes.
He said, I have not sung in 10 years. I'm singing for y'all tonight. And yes, he did. I got it on my camera.
I got it, and I have it on my phone, too.
He also sat down with a lot of young people, and they could ask him questions about his experiences. It was wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, let me tell you mine. Backstage at Alvin Ailey. And I walked up to Mr. B. I said, when Dolly go into a tournament, jump in their eyes begin to burn. He said, how you know that song? I said, my parents used to play that when we were little, and the company would all be in the living room singing Harry Belafonte songs. I love Mr. B. We call him Harry Belafonte.
Well, he has long been the man.
That's right.
Well, look, I'm looking forward to hearing y'all tonight. We still appreciate it. Great seeing y'all as well.
God bless you. Good to see you.
Absolutely. All right.
Take care.
All right, y'all take care.
Bye-bye.
Folks, we're going from Sweet Honey in the Rock to my man Teff Poe. He's a rapper. He's an activist out of St. Louis. He joins us right now on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Teff, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. I've disconnected, so I can't hear you. If y'all can plug me up, please. Right there, plug me up. Teff, first and foremost, let's talk about. Well, before we get to State of the Union, I do want to for you the opportunity to share your thoughts about Harry Belafonte.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
Okay, cool. The question was about Mr. B.
Yep.
Am I correct? Okay, yeah. Harry Belafonte is a pillar, man. As an artist, he's somebody that I've looked to emulate. In my own work, I often say that it's my goal to not be the person that's coming to Mr. B. I want to be Mr. B. I don't want to be the activist that's coming to Mr. B trying to get folks out of jail. I want to be the person that can show up with influence in the industry, influence in the hearts and minds of our people musically, culturally, and still politically put it all on the line. He was the first, I believe he was the first, one of the first artists, if not the first artist to go platinum. And to be that big, sell that many records and still say, hey, I'm going to show up and influence this game and influence the civil rights movement and leave a lasting mark, that says a lot.
Well, in many ways, like him, Teff, you're not focused just on music. You are very much involved in what's happening in the streets there in St. Louis and other parts of the country. It's a huge speech tonight for President Joe Biden in State of the Union address. So what do you want him to tell St. Louis? What do you want him to tell the communities that you spend a lot of your time in?
You know, finally, we just want some honesty. I think that this generation is done with the soft pandering of both parties. And you know me, so you know there's no chance that I'm here to be a cheerleader for the Democratic Party. But I'm also not here to inflate any fallacies about the Republican Party at the same time. So with that being said, we have to be honest. We're looking for the president to be honest about the United States imperial conquest overseas. We want him to be honest about the reasons that we perceive a lot of his responses to rogue regimes like Russia, who are attacking white countries with pale skin and blue eyes and blonde hair, while his response looks one way to those countries but looks another way to black and brown countries. We're a generation of globalists in this time. We travel, we see things. We're the information age, and no information is hidden from us in this era. So we need the Democratic Party to understand that the importance of being real with us. The State of the Union is a heavy concept. It's a heavy thing to address right now with the pandemic. Folks that are poor all over the country trying to figure it out. The Democrats consistently move the needle with the job statistics and the economy. It's just time to be honest about what's really going on before it's too late.
And when you talk about the issue with the economy, even though we when you look at the numbers, the economy is doing well, you still have a sentiment among a lot of people that it's not actually working for them. That's something that he also has to address, and that's one of the reasons why his polling numbers are around 40%. And so he has to say something to instill a level of confidence in citizens that it is going to get better for them.
Indeed, Roland. And I think that we're at a special place in history right now because Joe Biden doesn't have to be the opposition of the masses of black folks that do plan on organizing for a better America in these next upcoming years, upcoming days, upcoming weeks. He's in the position where he can really do some things to sound the alarm off and showcase a different side of the coin. What about universal health care? What about student loans? What about eradicating those? What about actually moving the country into an adequate position in this new millennium? There has to be some rectification for this America's rogue militaristic practices right now, especially as we're on the dawn of a new world war. Black and brown bodies, black and brown young men are going to be the ones that are fighting that war if we do go there.
All right, Teff Poe, always good to see you, man. Thank you for joining us, sharing your thoughts on what you want to hear tonight from President Joe Biden in his first State of the Union address.
Thank you so much for having me, Ro.
All right, thanks a bunch. All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. More from the Town Hall Theater here in New York City, celebrating the 95th birthday of Harry Belafonte. Also, we'll talk with one of the leaders in the Black Lives Matter movement with regards to tonight's State of the Union address from President Joe Biden. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. Don't forget to download the app on all platforms, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Samsung TV, Xbox, and Amazon Fire. And, of course, please support us with your resources. Your dollars make it possible for us to come to events like this and to cover it. And so that, of course, is Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. And, of course, Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. And it's P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037. We'll be back in a moment.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Black TV does matter, dang it.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Jacob Lattimore, and you're now watching Roland Martin right now. Yee.
All right, folks, we're here in New York City for the 95th birthday celebration for the great actor and activist Harry Belafonte here at the Town Hall Theater. Folks are already arriving. Lawrence Fishburne has already arrived. Alfre Woodard, Dougie Fresh is going to be performing as well. Malik Yoba was one of the folks who's here as well. Lots more folks are coming through. Michael Moore, Amy Goodman, Spike Lee, and so many others. When we talk about Harry Belafonte, it's not just about his singing or his acting. It's also about the activism that he has been involved in his entire life. And when we talk about the issues that he has been fighting for, he's marched with many, involved in many social justice movements as well. And, of course, so many folks have been impacted by the death a couple of years ago of George Floyd. Joining us right now is Selwyn Jones, who is one of the George Floyd's uncle. Family members are here as well. How you doing?
How you doing, sir? We're doing fine tonight.
Glad to see you out here, first and foremost. When you think about Harry Belafonte, not just someone who's a singer, but when you talk about police brutality, when you talk about the social issues, he's someone who has always been there, never want to be shy about standing out in front.
They started this back in the 50s and 60s, man. You know, and these are the pioneers of advocacy. So these are one of the first people that we as black people that just, hey, man, he's making a difference and a change. Especially back in the day that he started, you know?
And so y'all are here as well. Why was it important for you to be here?
A soulful heart wanted to just wish Mr. Belafonte a happy 95th birthday. When you get 95, everybody in the world need to come holler at you. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's true.
You know, we're coming to give a shout out. This is our executive director, Ms. Liz, and she wants to say hello.
Mm-hmm. Hello.
Microphone. Got microphone.
I just put her on the spot.
You're not talking to the microphone.
I just put her on the spot.
Mr. Belafonte, to me, showed class, and because of the class that he's shown, he taught me how proud to be a black person. He chose parts that he played that uplifted us even back in the 60s and 70s. And we didn't have a lot of movies that we could watch that had such a positive impact on us.
All right, then. Well, first of all, tell folks what Soulful Heart is and what it entails.
Hello, everyone. Happy birthday, Harry. Soulful Heart, memorializing George Floyd, is a nonprofit organization that was founded by Stephen Davis, myself, Love McCall, and, of course, Selwyn Jones, the uncle of George Floyd. And our mission is to uplift our youth, bring the communities together, stop the violence, bring peace, and bring infrastructure to the world.
All right. Well, we certainly appreciate it. Hope y'all enjoyed tonight's program, and glad to see you, and thanks so much. All right. Take care. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. All right, again, folks, we're here in New York City celebrating the birthday of Harry Belafonte. I see Whoopi Goldberg over there. Of course, my fellow November Scorpio. She's November 13th. I'm November 14th. Hopefully, we can get her over here. And so if they can, again, yes, escort her over, that would be absolutely great. And so she's recording something right now. And if we could just get her real quick. Let's see. Anthony, watch out. So if we can get Whoopi over here. All right. All right, she's taking a picture. I think she's answered a couple of questions. And so just have my guest hold for 1 second, please. I definitely want to make sure we quickly get her up because she's going to be running inside. And so that's why I don't want to go to the guest just yet. And so tell Ms. Price to hold on 1 second so we can grab Whoopi real quick. When she finishes there. So I just want to get her for a moment. Of course, co-host of The View, Oscar winner, Tony winner. I mean, she's won it all. And, of course, is a great comedian as well. And so glad to see her out here celebrating and feting Mr. Belafonte. And if we can get her real quick. If we can get her real quick. Real quick, let's see, India. If y'all can, here we go. Hey, Queen, come on, come on now. Come on, you looking great as well. Come on now.
my summer dress because I can't fit in anything else. Come on, come on.
My fellow Scorpio, how you doing?
I'm good.
Mr. B, 95 years.
So he says. He says he's 95. I don't know.
Because he act more like he's 65.
Well, he's 22 as far as I'm concerned, you know.
Why was it important for you to come out here to show your love for him?
Because he would have killed me if I didn't. You know, I love Harry. He knows I don't like to be out in public a lot. And so, you know, 95 is a big deal. You know, a lot of people don't make it. But Harry's here, and I want to make sure that I put my little voice in saying, you know, thank God you're still here. And thank God for all the stuff that you did, because you taught us, those of us who could do it, how to do it. You know?
Well, I agree. Well, I always love sitting at his feet, listening to him, talking with him. But the things that are interesting, he wants to hear from you. I'm like, no, I want to hear from you. He's like, no, I want you to talk.
Well, that's what keeps him going, because it stimulates a conversation that he may not be having with other people. So it's a joy when he wants to talk to you, because when he doesn't want to talk to you, it's very clear.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Look, it's always good to see you. It's a little chilly out here, so I'll see you inside.
Well, yes, I got on my summer dress. I told you, I got on my summer dress, the only thing I could get in. Shoot, you know, look at me. See, I should be on the beach right now.
Well, I just got back from Liberia, so they sent me some stuff. I'll send over to the office.
He just came back from Liberia.
I did. I was saying.
I know, it's cool.
You know, I'm with the black people.
Well, me too. I'd like to be a warmer black person. But
I'm with you. It was 87 there.
You know what? That is so mean.
What?
Well,
I'm freezing with you.
No, you're not freezing. Look at you. You are not freezing.
I told him to go get these gloves. I said, go to that sprint and get my gloves. My hands cold.
I know. Look at my feet.
Oh, my feet cold right now, too. That's why I'm like a cop. I'm stuck. No, I see
you. See that?
You came out in these slippers.
No, never slippers.
Okay, I'm sorry. What?
Birkenstocks. You know.
Black people call them slippers.
Do we? I can't remember what we do.
We call them slippers.
So many things.
Over there, call them sliders now.
Sliders, that's right. I will see you in there.
All right, darling. Good seeing you. All right, y'all. That is the great Whoopi Goldberg there. She said wearing her summer outfit because she couldn't fit anything else. All right, y'all. Let me go to my next guest. My apologies for having you on hold for quite some time. This is a fluid moment. Dr. Melanie Price with Black Lives Matter. Doc, how you doing?
I'm good. I want to say that I'm not with Black Lives Matter. I'm a professor at Prairie View, but I was asked to talk to you about politics in the State of the Union.
Okay, sorry about that. That's what they gave me here. So my bad. Let me ask you this. What do you want to hear from the president tonight? What do you want to come out of his mouth, speaking to you and the folks who you talk to, the people who you relate with?
You know, because I'm sitting in Texas on Election Day, more than anything, I want to know what he's going to say and actually what he's going to do about securing voting rights for Black and brown people in this country, and particularly in the state where I live. That is the thing I think that is pressing us the most. And then after that, I want to hear what he's going to say about this whole critical race theory and belligerent racism that is an assault on K through 12 education, and in our state is actually heading towards colleges and universities, and what he thinks that means for HBCUs like the one where I teach. And I think the third thing I want to hear from him is what he's going to do about this economy. And we know, as they say, when the rest of America has a cold, we have pneumonia. And so what is he going to do that is going to help Black people and other poor people and people of color who have experienced a serious sort of downgrade in the ways in which they live because of the economic despair and in growing economic inflation?
Obviously, the president recently appointed the first African-American woman to the Supreme Court. Justice is still a huge issue. And, of course, he's going to be pushing for her to get confirmed. It's very interesting when you hear – I would love to get your response. When you hear people say, well, that's not important. I've had people literally say to me that we want substance, that's just simply performative. That's a photo op. And I'm going, 1 of 9 on the Supreme Court is not a photo op.
No. I think when you look at what is happening with voting rights, when you look at the assault on Roe v. Wade, when you look at the end, really the pulling of the teeth of the Voting Rights Act, when you look at whether or not we decide that corporations are people, all of those are decisions that have been made by the Supreme Court. And so having a person on that court who understands the plight of African Americans, who understands the plight of African American women, and who is able to speak to the experiences of people who are discriminated against, it is my hope that that will mean that she will serve as a counterbalance to some of the conservatives that we have on the court now who would like to see us move back to a time, I think, where Jim Crow existed, where people were segregated on the basis of education, where women did not have control over their bodies. And so I think conservatives have done a really good job of focusing on the Supreme Courts, and we sort of dropped that ball, and now it's time for us to pick it up again so that when we can't get legislation moved forward, we at least have the court as a backstop in order to secure our civil rights.
Black women played a huge role in the 2020 election. They are the one group they frankly, and a Republican told me this, they hate Republicans more than any other group. And again, folks are already looking at the November turnout. They're looking at they're looking at what's going to be happening with the midterms. And what do you think is going to take to get people focused, to get them motivated to come out to the polls? I've heard people say, look, we gave Democrats the majority in 2020. They've done nothing with it. We haven't gotten what we wanted. But the reality is you still have this 50-50 deadlock, if you will, in the United States Senate. So what do you think he needs to say that will get the attention of African Americans to say, hey, we got to keep the momentum going and not roll back what we've seen and potentially have Republicans take over the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate come January 2023?
Sure. Although I'm interested in seeing what he's going to say tonight, I really don't think there's anything left to be said at this point. I think the faith of groups like African Americans, like women who support reproductive choice, like Latinos who are interested in better immigration policies, I think the time is for action. And what he needs to do is get Ketanji Brown Jackson through as a Supreme Court nominee. What he needs to do is secure legislation to protect voting rights. I think what he has to do is demonstrate that he can get the things done that he promised that got people to vote for him in the first place. And if he can do that, if he can make any progress on that front between now and the general election in November, I think the Democrats everywhere have a better chance.
All right, then, Dr. Melanie Price, I appreciate it. You're down there at Prairie View A&M University,
Yes,
not
sir.
far from my hometown of Houston. Y'all know about voting issues. Waller County has not been kind to black students there as well. So when you talk about voter suppression, Prairie View A&M University has been ground zero for a lot of battles dealing with white folks there in Texas over using the power of their vote.
I marched with 100 students today to the polls, and we are tired of having to fight this battle, but we are not afraid, or we do not recoil from it. And so we are still on the battlefield to make sure that black students at historically black colleges and at colleges everywhere have access to the vote.
All right. Well, tell Dr. Ruth Simmons I said hello, and I look forward to coming back and doing a Roland Martin Unfiltered from the PV campus.
We would love it.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. All right, folks, we're going to go to a break. We're here, of course, in New York City for the 95th birthday celebration for the great actor and activist Harry Belafonte. We're here at the Town Hall Theater. And so when we come back, we're going to chat with Malik Yoba, as well as some other folks here as well. The program is going to be starting real soon. We'll be done in less than 15 minutes. So let's take this quick break. We'll be back on Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now,
We have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Hi, this is Cheryl Lee Ralph.
Hello, everyone. It's Kiara Sheard.
Hey, I'm Taj.
I'm Coco.
And I'm Lily. And we're SWV.
What's up, y'all? It's Ryan Destiny, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, we're here live in New York City celebrating the 95th birthday of Harry Belafonte. Joining us right now is Malik Yoba.
You are not ready. You are not ready. What is this? What is this costume that you are wearing?
Look.
I want to know.
Everybody ain't able.
No, you look good.
Everybody ain't able.
You are looking good, my brother. You are looking.
Come on now.
Good to see you, man.
You know, I own 8 of these. I ain't feel like wearing it.
No, I like it.
Plus, it is a little warm, too.
And you got the gloves.
Well, no, right. Because, staying out here in one
for
spot
a long
for 2
time.
hours.
And these aren't those key lights that'll keep you warm.
No, see, those are the old lights.
Yeah.
Right, see, this is where you want those old hot lights. Right, these LED cool lights don't work when it's freezing. So, Doc, let's talk about tonight. First time you met Harry Belafonte?
I was just telling the story. I had a dream about him.
Really?
And I'd seen a movie. I think the film was called Odds Against Tomorrow. I fell asleep. And then the next day, he walked out of the elevator at the Reebok Sports Club. And I said, I just dreamt about you last night. He goes, what did you dream about me for? He told me the story about he had his first deal at a studio. Gave me a bunch of his achievements and kind of schooled me there. And then we just stayed connected. And Gina and I have been friends a long time. So we've had the opportunity to have, very special lunches and conversations that mean a lot.
A lot of people, again, they focus on the activism, but they forget he was a very prominent actor.
Right.
He was very much.
He was the first artist to sell 1 million records, black artist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was the first dude to have his own deal, a variety show on television. And
he also understood ownership, because one thing he said is he did not want to get caught financially like Paul Robeson was.
Right.
He said he wanted to make sure that that was taken care of.
Right.
So talk about not only just that, but being able to sit with him and listen to him, because every time you're sort of like when I interviewed Barbara Jordan when Thurgood Marshall died. And she said it was always amazing just to sit at his feet and just to listen to him. Yeah. That's sort of how I look at Mr. B as well.
1,000%. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've recorded those lunches. You know what I mean? It's been that important to me that I want to make sure that I have this memory. And I wish we could have done them weekly. I haven't seen them in a couple of years. What's happening? No, it's. I mean, man. I mean, when you see our elders when they were in black and white. And then literally in black and white, right? That's how we first saw them. And then you get to see them in color. It really feels like living history and an honor, bro. And it makes you feel that you have your responsibility to do your part to keep that going. And so that's what we're doing every day, all day.
All right. Well, look, we're looking forward to tonight. It's going to be great. And Gina said he will be watching. And so I'm quite sure he'll be critiquing.
Yes. All right. Good to see you, bro. Always, man.
All right, then.
Boom.
All right, baby, y'all. Malik Yoba here in New York, celebrating, of course, Harry Belafonte. In a moment, we're going to be chatting with my alpha brother, Dr. Cornel West. He just showed up as well, so we'll be chatting with him as well. So let's do this here. Let me look over here. And he's moving real fast down the line. I was going to toss to a video, but I want to go ahead and grab him. Rashad Robinson is here. Rashad here without his hat on? Shocking. So we'll chat with him in a second as well. So let's do this here. I want y'all to roll some of the interview with Harry Belafonte. And if we got to dip out of it, we'll do that. So go ahead and hear some of my interview, a couple of sit-downs that I've had with Mr. B.
I read your book, and read your book, My Song, A Memoir. And
what was really interesting is when you talked about why you needed to do this book, why you needed to do the HBO documentary, because with Marlon Brando, your longtime friend, passing away, all of that history died with him.
Yes, there's a whole culture in America that's deeply committed to the politics of progress. And a lot of people play a role in that culture, but they play it quietly. And a lot of them have celebrity status. And Marlon and I grew up together. I met him when I was 19. We were in school together. And our careers our lives paralleled one another. As a matter of fact, he introduced me to my second wife. And
someone who he was dating.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I met her while he was dating her. And I said, this is too good for you, Marlon.
That's a good friend.
Anyway, he did a lot. He did a lot with the Black Panthers. He did a lot with SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. He came and met with Dr. King any number of times, came to New York, along with a host of other celebrities, to raise funds and to raise consciousness. And I think America needs to know that they have citizens who do this on a much larger scale than the press is able to report or chooses to report. So when he passed, I saw the void that was there as far as my soul was concerned, because I lost a very good friend. But then I understood that he went away without ever telling America what he did. And America needed to know that there are a lot of citizens that make a difference.
All right, folks, welcome back. We're dipping out of that. So they told me Rashad Robinson was behind me. I was like, where? He ain't have his hat on. I'm trying. I don't even think
I couldn't compete.
I couldn't compete. Yeah, but you didn't go to sleep. You go to sleep with your hat on. I was like, he ain't got a hat on.
Somewhere in between my house and here, the hat disappeared. And we'll find it at some point. But I couldn't compete with this up here. I couldn't compete with the whole thing, brother.
Hey, look, it's Mr. B.
I mean, come on.
It's Mr. B. If you're gonna do it, do it.
Exactly. I mean, and you have done it. Once again, you have done it. You have outshined us all.
I'm just here chilling.
No.
Let's talk about 95 years of Harry Belafonte.
I mean, it is hard to put in words what legacy he has left us. What a roadmap to service. And I think about not just sort of all the things that are deeply visible about him, but all the kind of stories we've heard about the infrastructure he built, the things that he laid down, the organizations he helped to sustain, the ways in which he put his own career in jeopardy, and stalled opportunities in order to make a better way for all of us. We truly are on his shoulders in so many ways, and I couldn't think of a better way to celebrate him than to also celebrate another piece of infrastructure that he helped to create, and the legacy that his daughter Gina and so many others are trying to carry on, with really pushing artists to raise their voices, to engage more, and to be part of this movement.
All right, then. Well, man, always good to see you.
Always
it's
good.
a little chilly out here.
I know.
So we're going to get inside.
Exactly.
But
appreciate you.
Looking forward to the program tonight.
All right. Appreciate
you.
Rashad. All right. Thank you very
much. Thanks a bunch. All right, folks, right here. And looks like I see a couple of raindrops coming down. So, yeah, we about to do a real quick here. We're about to have our final guest, I believe. That is, I need y'all to get the umbrellas out of the car, please. Right now, of course, he is a great alpha man. He is a bad brother.
6 in the house.
You know how we do. My brother, my alpha brother, Dr. Cornel West. How you doing?
Meet my wife. Where'd she go? Meet my wife. Come meet Brother Roland. You know this is one I know.
It's good to meet you. Good to meet you.
Brother, you looking so sharp, man.
We're just here.
Lord have mercy. Y'all know who he is. Long distance runner, and he's still looking young as ever. Got that spirit of Harry Belafonte, Paul Robeson, Martin King, Fannie Lou Hamer, and Ella Baker all up in it.
Well, we do what we do.
And he ain't got to Aretha yet.
Well, see, that's that line. But see, the other line, that line of Frederick Douglass, Ida B. Wells, Barnett, Robert Abbott, Chuck Stone, A.I. Scott, John
true.
Johnson, Lerone Bennett, Simeon Booker.
Those are the great intellectuals in the world of journalism who were truth-telling and justice-seeking. Isn't that the truth? Glenn Ford, we just lost.
Martin
Delaney. God, that's what Du Bois is in there as editor of the Crisis. Herb Boyd.
Yep, absolutely.
Amsterdam.
Absolutely. Ethel Payne, right. Alice Dunnigan.
Oh, Lord, yes. You're right about that, brother. But no, I salute you.
Let's talk about Mr. B. Just share your thoughts about 95 years.
95 years, young. The first time he appeared in public was with the Charlie Parker Band with Max Roach on the drums and Miles Davis, a young brother, playing the horn. That's how far back our dear brother Harry Belafonte goes, man. But the very fact that he was willing to stand with Paul Robeson and W.B. Du Bois during the Cold War says it all right there. That means he's not a chump, he's not a coward, he's not a conformist, he's not complacent, he's standing up for the truth. And that's what we love about him. We don't have enough folk, we don't have enough black folk, black artists, stand up for the people, stand up for the truth. That's what we need. That's why we love you, brother.
Also, that continuum. You talk about Paul Robeson. You talk about Dr. King. You talk about the fight against apartheid.
That's right.
Standing with Miriam Makeba, standing with Nina Simone.
Absolutely.
But also Nelson Mandela.
That's right.
I mean, you talk about, look, I keep reminding people, We Are the World originated with Harry Belafonte.
Wow, that's true. That's true. And that's with Quincy, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was with
Quincy Jones.
It was Harry. Harry called the manager of Lionel Richie and Kenny Rogers and said, "Let's do a benefit concert." They said, "Hey, how about we do this song?" That's We Are the World. Everybody credits Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie for writing the song, but the idea originated with Harry Belafonte.
See, this is why we love this brother. He's always unveiling things we know not of, and we end up. Isn't that right, my brother? Isn't that right, my brother? We end up educated. We end up educated. I know I should let you run.
My he's also an Alpha.
Is it Alpha too? 06
See, y'all see how it is. That's how we do it.
I think my wife getting cold.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to go inside.
Love y'all.
And just
love this brother. We're gonna celebrate.
Mr. B.
Final word is, the struggle continues with love and justice, service to the least of these.
Doc, I appreciate it.
Love you, brother.
Love you. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Folks, that is the great Dr. Cornel West, folks. It is going to be a great night. Like I said, there are so many people who are out here who are still coming through here, and so some folks still arriving. I see Reverend Sharpton. He just arrived. I was about to cut this off. So I'll hold it to get a quick word with him about Harry Belafonte. So let's do this here. Let's go back to our video of Harry Belafonte, and then when Sharpton gets over here, then we will then dip out of that and hear from him.
The history and could comment on it. And as I started on that path, I ran into a lot of other people that had parallel histories to Marlon, and I thought they should be in this story that I was attempting to tell. And as a consequence, we came up with Sing Your Song. When I got through making the film, I realized that we had about close to 800 hours of interview footage. And we only had an hour and 40 minutes in which to tell the story. So the idea of a book to become more subtextual, to talk more deeply about the context of the history of the period was required. So then I went off and started to do the book at a parallel time that we were editing, as we were editing the film. And both came out at the same time.
I've always been fascinated with history, but specifically African-American history. When Gordon Parks died, when I read these obits, and you're sitting here saying, man, he did all of this. And I began to get DVDs and begin to get books to really understand who he was. And in many ways, as I felt reading this book, I mean, I'm sitting there going, man, I've known a lot of stuff, about Harry Belafonte. But wow, this is amazing. And what really stood out was that you literally were at the intersection of so much history. Paul Robeson, W.B. Du Bois going to dinner, Dr. King going through SNCC and all of those folks. And so when you think back on that, do you even tell yourself, man, those were amazing times?
I really didn't get into the fact, well, I knew there were amazing times as I was living out the history. You can't have over 250,000 people show up in the Mall of Washington, D.C. and don't know that something's going on.
Right.
So things like that, which were outstanding, obviously stood out. And I was aware of the fact that I was with men like Dr. King and John Kennedy and Nelson Mandela and women like Eleanor Roosevelt and Rosa Parks, who had their hands on the pulse of our time. And that to be in their service meant that I was doing something that had historical value. It is in that spirit that I was able to sustain and maintain a life of social commitment that satisfied the earliest instructions that I got from my mother, which was never go to bed at night knowing that there was something you could do to stop injustice and didn't commit yourself to it. She said,
all right, folks, welcome back to the 95th birthday celebration of Harry Belafonte. Joining me right now is someone who is sat at the feet of Mr. B and listen to him, study him, Justice Smollett. Just how you doing, man? All good. Talk about tonight, 95 years of this great man.
Oh my goodness, we've been so blessed to have him all this time. What a blessing. This is a king, you know, for this nation, for this world, somebody that really has given his all. I always say that he's found a way to keep his voice as an activist without losing his voice as an artist, and vice versa. And that's not always an easy thing to do, but he's found a way to do it, and he's inspired like generation after generation after generation, you know, to continue in his footsteps.
He also challenges artists.
Yes, he does.
He is not one to be shy.
You can't be down with Mr. Belafonte if you're not willing to do something. You know, it's just the way that he is. It's the way the whole family is, you know, and I'm here with Gina and just the entire family, and just really, really genuine, good people who are maybe in Hollywood, but Hollywood's not in them, you know, so just he knows what's important, and he's instilled that in his legacy that will continue to carry on.
And I think what's the most important is that his legacy is not just singing, it's not just acting, but really putting it on the line that frankly has been deemed by many people to be far more important than the artist piece. It's the activist piece.
Sure. I mean, but that's the piece of humanity that's the most important. I mean, sure, it's important what you do, you know, as a career, as your art and everything like that. But he injected that into his art, and he injected, you know, life and humanity of social justice in the world, and just making the world a better place. He never shied away from that at times when many other people did, and he could have, and probably benefited from it a lot more, but he didn't, and that's a very bold man.
Indeed, man. Always good to see you. Appreciate it. It's be a little warmer inside, so we'll get in there. So I'll see you inside. I appreciate it. Good seeing you. All right then, folks. Justice Smollett sharing his thoughts about Harry Belafonte.
I'm protesting.
What? You know, I'm just saying.
And he didn't bring me one of those African garments back either. He's been showing off all over the gram on all of these royal garments, garments that they gave him because they know he's the voice of Black America. Next time he goes, he should take a poor preacher from Brooklyn with him.
Well, glad to see you. They did mess up. They gave me a medium, and so I can't wear that. So I'll be sure to send that to your office. I'll send it to your office. Hold on, I gotta get your thoughts. Just 95 years of Harry Belafonte.
95 years of one of the greatest artists and actors, but one of the greatest activists. Who can say that they were instrumental to Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela and even young activists today? I'll never forget when we started marching in New York, Harry would come out and march with us. And he'd sit in his apartment and tell me stories about Dr. King and about Nelson Mandela and lecture us that if you're not sincere, if you're not going to really be about it, don't do it. This is not about a career. This is about a cause.
50 years, 100 years from now, some young artist comes across this video, they see this celebration, what should they take from what this man has done?
They should take that they should live about something bigger than their careers. They should use their artistry to also activate the social environment that they were able to rise up in. And Harry Belafonte did that for us like Paul Robeson did for him. He would always talk about his role model was Paul Robeson. I think young artists 50 years from now should use Harry Belafonte as their role model.
I agree. We're looking forward to a great night. Reverend
Yes,
Chester, I
sir.
appreciate it.
I'm going to look for that medium.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I'll send it to you because I can't wear it. I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Yes, it is, folks. First of all, there are hecklers out here. Come on, step on up in here. There are hecklers out here. We're supposed to be going inside. Well, he act like he ain't worried about it. He coming here, jacket on. He ain't worried about the cold or nothing. Spin this way, y'all. Former CEO of the NAACP, Ben Jealous. Of course, ran for governor, Maryland as well. What's up, man?
It's good to see you, sir.
Likewise.
Like this look, man.
Well, yeah, I'm just chilling. First of all, hold up. You growing the beard back. Last time I saw you, he walked up to me. I was like, who the hell's this light-skinned dude?
You're like, who's this white boy? Who's this white boy walking over me like you know me?
No. I got a bunch of, my mom with the same skin tone as you, so that, look, trust me, you walked up, I'm like, yeah, that's a brother.
Good to see you, man.
Likewise.
And you have evolved beyond the ascot, man. This is a whole new look.
Well,
Love
because
this
see,
look,
the
man.
problem is, here's what happened. People kept expecting the ascot.
Yes.
And see, I can't have them expecting.
And you had some unexpected about ascots. You had some serious ascots.
Yeah, and so it was like, yo, dude, we're the ascot. So I had to like retire it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bring it back out.
Okay, good.
But I had to hit, because now they don't know how I'm gonna come.
Yeah.
Because it's like, since I lost my digital show, they're like, dude, you wear T-shirts on the show because you never know what. I mean,
COVID happened, right? Like I had
True.
like the Malcolm X goatee since like that was a thing. And then COVID happened. You're like, let me try new beards. So there you go.
It did, but they were just anticipating it too much.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
now they kind of like, man, we don't know what he gonna come with. So that's how we do it. Let's talk about Mr. Harry Belafonte.
Yeah, oh my God.
Man, 95 years. Your first time meeting him.
I can't remember the first time. It was probably when I was an organizer in Harlem as young. But I'll tell you, the last time I was on stage with him was him and Sidney Poitier. And I was at the Image Awards. And it was me and Paula Patton on one end, and him and Sidney on the other. And for the only time in 5 years of broadcasting the Image Awards, I missed my line. Because I was so mesmerized.
Right, because that night, the night that you're describing, because y'all don't realize this. So you and I talked, and you told me, hey, because no one didn't know that they were going to present together.
Yes.
And so you told me that, and I immediately called Harry, and I said, hey, I've never met Sidney Poitier.
Yeah.
I got to meet him.
And we have to.
So what
You're
happened?
a black man in America,
Yes.
Sidney Poitier. I mean, that's why I missed my line. Right? 'Cause
So
you're like,
when they came out, I didn't even see the award. I actually went backstage.
Yes.
Because I was like, yo, I'm not going to miss him. I'm like, look, he's probably going to book. So I was waiting backstage
that was the night
when y'all walked off.
That was a crazy night backstage because that was the night that we had Prince present to Halle Berry, and she didn't know that he was going to be presenting to her. And I'm backstage, and I'm like, I heard Prince might be here. And she's like, I'm his biggest fan. And I'm like, every sister says that. And she looked like she was going to cut me. I was like, you know what? You're Halle Berry. If you say you're his biggest fan, sister, you're his biggest fan. Like, who am I?
Right.
But
that night was amazing, and when those two came out, I mean, the audience just erupted, and it showed you how they are, how those two were seen as royal. And again, 9 days apart in birthdays.
Yes, incredible. And they were actors here in Harlem when they were young. And they came out to Hollywood one after the other. These are basically the two first black leading men in Hollywood. And they started out as boys up in Harlem. It's a beautiful story. And Harry's that guy.
Well, first of all, Harry kind of, Sidney owed him because, remember, Harry had to work that night, and Sidney was his understudy, and then that's how Sidney came out to L.A. because the director was watching, and so Harry was like, damn, you still owe me, bro. You still owe me.
No, man. Brotherhood's a beautiful thing.
But the thing, one of the reasons why I want to be out of here, first of all, I always love just sitting and talking with him. But people really don't get it, is that being in his presence, I mean, you're literally sitting with living history.
And yet he is so grounded. He's so real. He's so good. You know, I convinced Harry to endorse Bernie Sanders. And we're about to meet Harry. I mean, we're about to meet Bernie. And all of a sudden, Harry realizes, I'm about to endorse me for president. I really haven't spent much time with. He's like, what is he again? Is he like a socialist? He's a communist? I said, he's a democratic socialist. He goes, right, he's a wimp. You know, like, that was just it. It was just straight up Harlem. You know, just straight up, he's a wimp.
Which is hilarious because Dr. King was a socialist.
Yes, no, that's exactly right. And, you know, Harry came from a different day, you know. And when the only thing really mattered is, are you an anti-racist? And that's what he's dedicated his life to, is fighting racism with courage, frankly, lifting all of us up. I mean, the beautiful thing about the leaders who come out of Harlem and gravitate towards Harlem is when you're young, like, they always have time for you.
Right.
I can remember when I was president, and you remember, because we had that walk when I became president. People were like, who is this?
In Arizona.
Yeah, and they're like, who is this Negro, right? And so I go to Maya Angelou's house, and she, like, and welcomes me into her kitchen, and she says, look, I'm getting old. I will do one thing for you. You just tell me what the one thing is. Well, I could never figure out the one thing that might shorten her life by a day, you know, so I never asked.
Really?
But Harry was the same way.
Right.
You know, and Harry had more vitality, so I asked a lot of Harry. But, you know, Harry was just, at the end of the day, he was a brother from Harlem. You know, yes, from Barbados, yes, from, you know, from the Bahamas, like the whole Caribbean, the heritage, not taking a thing away from that. He came of age of Harlem, and he understood, basically, if you were young and came up through Harlem like I did, like, he was going to make space for you.
So I'm going to tell this story, and it's before we go, because we got to get inside. So I don't let nobody call me the N-word.
Yes.
I block people on social media.
Sure.
So we're at Reverend Sharpton's.
I tried to do it affectionately once. You're like, nope. Nope. We're at Reverend Sharpton's dinner. Yeah.
Mr. B was being honored.
Yes.
And so we were shooting in, and I walk up to him, and I come on his right side, and he jumps, and he goes, nigga, when you taking me to lunch?
Wear that as a badge of honor for the rest of your life.
And I go,
it's Harry Belafonte.
I go, Harry Belafonte calling me the N-word. And I go, I'm going to let you slide calling me the N-word.
I'll wear that as a badge of honor.
I said, I'm going to let you slide. I said, when you want to go? He said, anytime you want to. So literally, I said, fine. You tell me. I said, I will hop on the train. I will come down.
He's that brother.
And that's exactly what we did.
He is royalty, and he is regular all the time in a
Came down for lunch. We met at Ruth Chris Steakhouse here in New York City. And the crazy thing is, I'm trying to sit there and listen to him and ask him questions. No, he wants to ask me questions.
Yes, he's a lifelong learner.
No. I want to know what you're thinking. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? I'm like, I'm trying to hear you.
Yes, and he's watching and thinking all the time.
Yep. Always good seeing you, man.
Love you, man.
I appreciate it. Love you. Got to get inside. Yeah. Thanks a bunch for closing this down for us. Folks, Ben Jealous, former CEO, NAACP. We're here celebrating 95 years of Harry Belafonte. Want to thank all of you for watching us, folks. Normally we're live 6 to 8. We came on 1 hour early. And so a fantastic day. So many other people are here. I got my iPhone. I'm going to be shooting some other stuff on the inside. I'm going to hope to have those moments for you on tomorrow's show. So please check it out. We're going to also have post coverage tomorrow of President Biden's State of the Union address, which will be taking place tonight. And so we look forward to that as well. And so what we're going to do is we're going to close this out with a little bit more of my interview. I did 2 interviews with Mr. B when I was at TV1. We'll close it out with that. And then again, I'll see you guys tomorrow back in the nation's capital from our Roland Martin Unfiltered Black Star Network studios. Don't forget to support us in what we do. Please, your dollars make it possible for us to do what we do. So support us via Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. Venmo is R Martin. RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Zelle is RolandSMartin.com. You can also hit us up at P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037. And don't forget to download the Black Star Network app on all the available platforms as well. And so, folks, that is it for us here in New York City. We'll close this out with a little bit more of my conversation with the great Harry Belafonte. Y'all know how we do it. Holla!
The slave has always been to the best interests of the slave owner. And I think that when a black voice is raised in protest to oppression, those who are comfortable with our oppression are the first to criticize us for daring to speak out against it. I think that it's a noble thing that he's done. I think that speaking out and making people aware of the fact that you are paying homage to an anthem that also has a constituency that by the millions suffer is a righteous thing to do. The fact that these people are having these, how dare you speak out against lynching and all of the things that that racism stands for, or the conclusions to racist acts permit, I think is a statement about America. I think he's a noble and a courageous man for having done that. Now, I say this with some history of my own. I was at the height of American success, hit records and movies and being rewarded by millions of people coming in attendance to the audiences that I played around the world. The machinery of oppression was always at work trying to discredit me, make me a communist, make me unpatriotic, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it takes a lot of courage to stand up in the face of that onslaught, that reactive moment, and not bend to the wind. What I would love to see is a few hundred other black athletes take that as a symbol. It doesn't affect the game. It doesn't affect the way it's going to be played. It just tells you a lot about what the people on the field are thinking in their every waking moment. A. Philip Randolph once said, if you are comfortable with my oppression, then you are my oppressor.